margins disappointed, narrowing to about 120 basis points to about 14%, which is slightly lower than market expectations. While we do have Gaurang Shah with us on the phone line along with Deven Choksi, let me first go over to my colleague Srishti Sharma, who joins us with more details. Srishti, over to you.
Well, M&M has come out with a good set of numbers when the revenue and EBITDA has come in line with the ET Now estimates, while a slight miss on the margins is what we have seen. But along with that, the profit that has seen a jump, and 12% differential versus the estimate is what we have seen. Let's talk numbers then, and profit has been clocked at 3,450 crores. The consolidated margin stands at 14%. Our expectation was close to 14.3%, but in terms of the EBITDA as well as on the revenue front, the numbers are exactly in line. It's a 9% jump is what the company has registered on a sequential growth in their top line. But let's have a look at the internals as well, and especially the margins of their automotive as well as the farm segment. Firstly, when we look at the automotive margins, the company does say that the overall margins does stand at 8.9%. That's in line to what the street was also penciling in, but excluding the e-SUV contract manufacturing, the margin stands at 10%, and that's a jump of 50 basis points. Along with that, in terms of their overall revenue share, then that has also seen a surge to 27.3%, an uptick of 570 basis points all in all for their SUV market. Along with that, when it comes to the farm segment, there too the company has performed very well, because we have been highlighting that the volumes over there has been quite robust. The key to watch will be the margins, and there too the company has managed to surprise us, wherein the margins for the farm segment stands at 19.8% versus the street estimate of close to 19%, wherein the overall market share has not just seen a jump on a YOY basis but also on a sequential basis at 45.2% is what the company has clocked in. So all in all, a good set coming in from M&M.
Right, Srishti, thank you so much for joining us with that breakdown of the M&M numbers. We have with us two guests on the phone line, Gaurang Shah first, and then there's Deven Choksi as well. Gaurang, let me start with you. Surely a very good set of numbers, but you'd reckon that SUVs have really powered what has largely been a great quarter for M&M, Gaurang.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on this. Good evening to all of you. Also, in line or slightly better in some parts, slight bit of squeeze as far as the margins are concerned. I don't think that's going to have a great negative impact. A strong commentary in terms of SUVs and agri and utility vehicles. Our sense is that headwinds are there for the auto sector in terms of global news flows. But the management commentary has been very, very strong. New launches that they have done in the EV segment, there has been good traction as far as demand is concerned. And I think launches in the form of new avatars for the Bolero and others should add to the positivity. So profit has come above expectation, and EBITDA and top line numbers is in line. Expect some kind of positive move on the stock. Of course, I'm not too qualified to give a short-term view on the stock, but yes, as a disclosure, our company Geojit Investments and our research team has a positive coverage on M&M. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the impact of global news flows has on the auto sector. But the domestic market looks extremely strong, and our sense is that modernization and improvement in terms of technology should help M&M to not only maintain the market share but also grow it to a great extent.
Right. Deven, if I could quickly come to you next. I know there's so much optimism on the stock front itself, but what do you make of M&M's market share momentum? Do you expect forward movement with regard to it, given these very positive set of numbers? Do you feel the company has what it takes to keep expanding market and continue with that momentum forward? Deven.
Yes, indeed. I think the important point, the largest SUV seller in the country today, with about 27+% of market share, which is a fundamental shift, I think, in the entire portfolio, I guess so. Because I think this is the only company which is basically focusing fully on SUVs. And as I see the prospects going forward with higher amount of disposable income in hands of people and with lower cost of interest, people are likely to, even the first time buyers are likely to go for the SUV platforms more than the entry level platforms. That's where I believe that I think the margins are also showing up for the company. So overall, I think the strategy is working well. And I don't see any reason for this strategy to get derailed at least in the next 2 years or so. I think this strategy could possibly show results, I think, for the company. The EV portfolio also, I think, is one important thing to note about because I think, again, I think the first company to come up with the born electric vehicle portfolios, wherein I think have been successful with the models, wherein they were successful with, I think, collecting in advance, and at the same time, I think, giving the better profitability to the company. So I think all in all together, strategically as well as implementation-wise, the company is performing well, and I think I'm probably likely to continue with this kind of performance at least for next 2 years, given the kind of launches that they have in pipeline.
Right, right. Gaurang, if I could quickly come back to you, what's the outlook like when it comes to farm equipment sales? Do you see that positivity also continue its momentum as we move forward? What's your take on that?
Positive, definitely, and that's what Mr. Jejurikar has also mentioned, that good monsoon and, of course, disposable income going up should have a positive traction in terms of not only for farm equipment but also for utility vehicles.
And Deven, if I could also quickly come back to you, you mentioned EVs as being another positive. Do you feel that, given the fact that we are seeing a slow and steady, though, uptick in terms of EV infrastructure taking form and shape across the country, that could definitely be a positive for the outlook as far as EV sales are concerned to M&M and surely other automakers as well, but more specifically M&M?
Yes, I think there is less and less amount of noise now on the lack of infrastructure. On the contrary, more and more people are convinced that higher amount of EV charging infrastructure already in place. And given the kind of distribution presence M&M has created across, I believe that I think they are in a relatively better position to capture this particular game plan as far as I think the EV is concerned. In my viewpoint, I think today there is a first choice in EV for most of the buyers, and that's a fundamental shift. So progressively, we should be seeing higher numbers coming in from most of the EV makers going forward. And as we see the battery costs coming down, BYD particularly, I think, playing major role in that. I would like to think that, yes, I think EV would be the next growth provider for many of the companies, and M&M has certainly taken a big jump into that.
Right. Gaurang and Deven, thanks so much for joining us and helping us crunch those numbers. Always a pleasure speaking to both of you gentlemen. Thanks so much.